Claude Code just built this entire n8n workflow with just one prompt. But here's what makes Claude Code even better. Because it's now got the entire context around the workflow on what I'm trying to achieve, all I need to say is add a front end, and it's able to turn it into a fully productized app for us to be able to sell. We're not just building automations anymore in n8n, we're now able to build complete products. But the true question is, how good is Claude Code at this, and what are some key things that you need to keep in mind? By the end of this video, I'm going to show you exactly how you can connect Claude Code with the MCP and n8n skills and have it generate your very own n8n workflow for an AI lead magnet, the kind that agencies would charge thousands for, and how it's completely changing the game. I'll show you the full build, including Claude Code, MCP, n8n, all of the prompts in one single video, so that you can go from an idea to a SaaS incredibly quickly. All of the links are going to be in the description down below, and if you want to learn more about AI and automation, make sure to come across to our community. All of the resources are going to be in there. First things first, let's check out what it's able to do. We're going to come through, add our email address. We're going to add a quick niche in there that we want to generate some information for. Our target is to grow audience. We're posting 3 to 5 times a week, and we want all of the content to go on Instagram, LinkedIn, and maybe TikTok. We're going to say generate our strategy. We're then going to have our n8n workflow running in the background here, which was able to complete this entire process in 12 seconds. We've got the confirmation. The email has been sent with that really easy lead magnet. So let's check out what we got back. As we can see here, we've now got a really detailed overview that we'd be able to recommend. Again, this is a super simple lead magnet. We're able to get set up, run on autopilot 24/7, 365, and this used to take ages to get set up, and now we're able to do it in literally 20 minutes. So what are the 3 key parts we're going to need? Well, first of all, we're going to need the n8n MCP server, and it's going to be in here for us to set up. It's got all of the instructions for us to follow nice and easily. Secondly, we're also going to need to give Claude our n8n skills for it to understand how to use the MCP server and generate all of the workflows for us as easily as possible. And then last but not least, I'm going to be using Claude Code just as the CLI or command line interface for this, so that we can start to bring that app to life. If you've not used VS Code before, check out my other video that will walk you through how to get started with Claude Code. So what makes the MCP server so great? Well, it enables our Claude agent to understand, in this use case, 99% of the different nodes we're able to do, 60% of the operations, 87% of the documentation, 271 different tools, and it's pre-trained on 2,646 different workflows. But there's some nuances on this that I'll touch on at the end. To get us started, we're going to scroll down, and what we're looking for is this full configuration part here. We're going to need to copy this code and add it into our VS Code. So first, we're going to come across to VS Code. So we're just going to create a folder for us to store all of the different files that we're going to generate. Once it's loaded up, on the left-hand side here, you'll be able to see this is where we're going to store all of the information. First of all, we're going to do a plus. We're going to create a new document here. But what are we going to call this document? Well, we're going to need to come back across to our n8n skills. And the reason for this is because if we come further down, we'll see that we've got the prerequisite, i.e. what needs to happen beforehand, is we need to set up a file called MCP and JSON. So we'll come back across, create a new document, .mcp.json, and press enter. So now we need to add in the n8n MCP code. We're going to come across to the n8n MCP documentation. Again, all of the links are in the description to find everything. We're going to come down and find the full configuration with n8n management tools, copy all of this, back across, and paste into here. Now, how do we get it to connect to our n8n instance? Well, what we're going to need to do is add our n8n URL in here for where we're hosting it and our API key. To do that, you want to come across to your n8n environment. You want to copy all of your web URL. So we'll copy all of that, come back across, and then paste in here. We want to make sure that there is no / at the end, so that's all good to go. Now we need to set up our API key. So we're going to come down to settings. We're going to come across to where we've got n8n API. We're going to do create API key. We'll call it Claude and then code in this instance. We'll copy the API key that it gives us, come back across to our VS Code and just paste in here. So now we've given our Claude agent the ability to connect with n8n. This is going to be good to go if you're using Mac. If you're going to be using Windows, you need to change this from npx to cmd. And then we're also going to need to change our args or arguments in here. So instead, it's now /c npx n8n mcp. We're going to change this back though, because I'm going to be using a Mac. So now we're all ready to go. So now we've connected our Claude instance with our n8n account. We need to give our Claude agent the n8n skills ability. So if we come back across to our n8n skills document, we'll see that we've generated the .mcp.json server information. And for easiest installation, we're just going to come through and clone the repository to our environment. To do that, we're going to come back into Claude Code or VS Code in this use case. Now to access my Claude Code, I'm going to do the 3 dots to the right and automatically it's going to open up the terminal. If you've not done this before, just go through new terminal and add that in there. To start Claude, I'm just going to type Claude, which is going to boot it up into our VS Code instance. We're going to say, yes, we're happy for it to proceed. And now we're ready to go straight away. So to enable us to have those skills readily available, now we're simply going to explain what we want to achieve. In this use case, we can say, please help me install these n8n Claude skills from this repo. And then we're simply going to paste in what we just copied from that GitHub repository. So there we go. We're now all installed with the 7 skills, as we can see here. And if we come across to the left-hand side, we've now got all of the details in here. But as we see, it's cloned that entire repository from GitHub into our environment. We don't need all of that. So we're just going to say, please remove the n8n skills folder from my project. I just need the skills installed globally so they're available across all of my projects. This is going to go through and make sure that we don't have all of it in here. We just need the specific skills for us to execute. We're going to say, yes, we want to execute it and just let it run through. Great, so it's now removed those skills from the project, but we're still able to access them. All we need to do is open up the specific environment with our skills. And as we can see here, they're still all ready to go for us to use as we need. If we come back across, so now we're going to go through and get Claude Code to generate our AI lead magnet. First, I'm going to do Shift and Tab, and we're going to come across to one of my favorite modes in Claude Code, which is planning. I'm going to paste my prompt in here, which again is in the community link down below. And what we're saying is that we want it to generate a lead magnet, which is all around an AI content strategy generator that's going to be able to actually go through, provide some recommendations for their specific niche on what to post, when to post it. We're going to be receiving all of this data through a webhook trigger, which we'll need for later on with our front end. We're going to use ChatGPT to generate the messages. We're going to come up with a full strategy, which we'll send by Gmail, log everything into Google Sheets, and return a JSON response confirming the success. So what we could have charged someone thousands for in the past, we're able to generate within a couple of minutes and still get them exact same output, but in a much shorter time frame, no matter if you're selling this into businesses or using it yourself. Now it's still thinking that 5.2 doesn't exist. One of the classic things is it's using that more historical data, or just so that we want ChatGPT 4.0 for now. We're going to say that we're going to want a placeholder IDs because we're going to go through and give it a Google Sheet in the future. We're going to say that we want it to have content strategy as the URL and submit our answers. So we're going to get it to go through, finish up the plan, and then we'll get it to go through and generate the workflow. So it's going through, it's written a plan for us if we scroll up. So what we can see is that it's come through, it's correctly identified webhook, we got OpenAI, Gmail, Google Sheets, and a webhook response, 30 content ideas, best posting times, recommendations, quick win ideas. It's got the workflow here. So again, the features I love about n8n, really going in detailed for that planning. If we come down, we got the webhook trigger. This is all the data we need. We're going to have the OpenAI. We need it to generate, of course, that prompt that goes with it as well. This doesn't look like a very good prompt, so we'll probably get it to update that when we go down. Gmail strategy, it's okay. If we go down here, if we scroll down, we're going to say yes, auto accept edits. I always recommend that you check the code when it's ever generating something, producing something. But just for this video, we're going to have auto accepts turned on to speed up that development. There we go. So it looks like it's gone through and automatically generated the workflow with this ID in our n8n instance. And we've got the raw JSON in here for us to be able to use as well. So let's come across, and there we go. We got the AI content lead magnet, so we can open this up. If you can't find it straight away, the easiest way to load up the new workflow is in your URL up the top. You want to do your n8n instance /workflow /that ID, which you'll be able to find when it generates the actual workflow within Claude Code. If we come back across, what we're also going to test quickly is if we just copy the raw JSON and paste it into here, yep, it's still able to load it in nice and easily. So this is a really, really simple workflow, but hopefully it gives you the idea of what's possible. So now let's go through and check out the workflow. So we've correctly got that content strategy URL, which is great to see. It looks like the response data is going to be first entry and then JSON with the last node, which is going to be that success response. We've got our OpenAI module here. If I was doing this myself, I'd probably use a basic LLM module instead. The reason for this is because if I load it up, we've got the option of using all of the different LLMs versus being tied into pure OpenAI for this workflow in the future. But we did say to use OpenAI. If I open this up, we'll see it's not added in the actual prompt. So we're going to need to get it to actually go through and do that because, of course, it's useless at the moment. If we come out of here, it looks like it has added Gmail. It looks like it's actually formatted the data that we're going to be sending back in the email. It looks like it's actually said it's HTML, which is correct. We've automatically got our Google credentials connected. We're going to need to go through and just update the specific form so it's got all of that data in there. And then we've got that success response right at the end, which is saying, yes, it was correct with Boolean, so it's done it. 30-day content, let's see what it says, has been sent to your email. And then last but not least, we're sending it to that individual specific email. So to give this a test, we're going to come back across. We're going to copy the actual response body. So for example, here, we'll come back across to our workflow, open up the webhook and just paste this example data at the start for us to test. So if we come out of here and do save, of course, we're going to need to get it to give us a user prompt. So we're going to say there was no prompt in the OpenAI module. Please give me the prompt to make sure that we get the best outputs for the potential lead coming through. We'll send this off, see what it's able to come up with. I'm interested to see if it gives us an entirely updated workflow, or hopefully it just gives us maybe the AI prompt straight away in here for us to copy across. So as we can see here, it looks like it's done it. We're going to copy all of the prompt, which is up to him. We'll come back across, open up the prompt area here. We'll add another one in here. And this is why it's really important for you to still understand how n8n works. Critical thinking is the skill that everyone needs to have at the moment. Because, for example, here, I now know that I would need to add in the system prompt here that it's just generated. And then we can go through, remove this, and then put this as the user message second of all for us to get that data produced correctly. The reason for this is because if I just put across that data, content, if we get rid of this, posting frequency, again, this is going to change when we put the front end on it, just because of the actual information coming across as a body. So there we go, all pulled in and nice and neat, like we can see on the right hand side here. We'll even get rid of that part. We're now going to come out and do save. We're going to execute this to see if it runs in the background. Of course, we made these changes ourselves, so we should be able to see it. I'm interested to see the outputs that it gives us though. Again, if I was running this myself, I'd want to use more of that basic LM module and structure the output into JSON, so it's better for our sending strategy later on. So there we go, we've just got our response back. Let's check it out. If we come through here, it looks like we've got a detailed insight in here. So we'll just change this if we come out to open up in here. It looks like it's all text, so we'll just see if it's pulled through. It looks like it hasn't, so we'll just get rid of this, pull that text across, which is going to be our content, and then it looks like it's going to be formatted in here, so we need to check that out. If we close this down, we're going to open up our webhook again, remove what looks like to be the content goals. So we'll pull that back across into here. We'll get rid of this and put across the niche to update that in there. Again, this is just because we're sending it across as a body. We'll remove this and update the email address. So who's it going to? If we come through, we'll just send this to myself. So I just changed the email address. So there we go. We just got the data back. If I open this up, we can now see we've got the email. So let's just send it to myself and we'll see what we got back. So there we go. This is the email that we got sent across. As we can see here, we've got a nice big blue banner at the start. We've also got a nicely formatted email. If we read it through, we'll see that it's got a 30-day strategy, positioning yourself as the trusted mini friend for millennials. Again, if we just come back and check our use case, what we're saying is we want it to be for personal finance for millennials and building authority in the growth email list. It looks like it's got some suggestions. Again, these tools are getting much smarter for the outputs. So as we can see here, day one, it looks like the description, net monthly income. So again, we could get this fleshed out. Remember, this is a lead magnet, something that someone could type in their email address, mainly for us to capture it and store it, which we'll do in a second, but we can send through some initial points. We've got some optimized posting times. So again, if you know about these platforms, you'll know exactly when's best. The content mix strategy, quick wins. But again, the key rule of thumb here is this is just a starter. You really want to go through and find it and optimize it based on your knowledge that you've got. So we know it's able to send emails. Now let's come through and store all of that details in Google Sheets. I quickly went through and just created a Google Sheet for us to store. So we'll just come through, actually go through and just change it from ID and then list. And then we're just going to choose the content lead strategy in there. We're also going to do from list, just so that we can choose that sheet one because we know that's in there ready to go. We'll come back to the webhook, put across the niche, the content goals, posting frequency, platforms, and email. I'm just going to go through and add in. We're going to say message and then sent. Just because what we're going to want to do in this use case is I want to store that message that we sent to the customer. We'll just refresh this, come down and actually take the output from our OpenAI module. And now if we execute this step, it should go through and stored all of that data in Google Sheet for us to track, including the email address. So that's how we can quickly and easily get it set up, ready to go. So now let's just give it a quick test end to end. We'll say execute workflow, or we'll just check this end one. We'll just update this email. So we'll go email in there. We'll do save. And now we'll do execute end to end. And now it should go through and do everything automatically straight away without us having to lift a finger. And then we'll go through and generate the front end really quickly. So there we go. It looks like it's executed successfully. So we'll just come through and check our emails. We can see here in the background, it has gone through and added it in. We'll see, so this was the original email. We'll just come back and check if we've got a new one. Yep, we do. So if we come down, you'll grow authority by publishing a consistent stream of teachable personal finance advice. So it's come up with a brand new, unique idea. It's going to come through and change all of this. Again, if you had some standardized PDF attachments, you could include this nice and easily. It looks like the timings are roughly the same for all of these. So there is that consistency between all of them. So now we're going to go through and generate the front end. We're back in VS Code. We're going to do Shift and Tab to come across to our planning mode, and then I'm going to paste my command in here. Again, all of this is going to be linked down below. Make sure to come across to the community and get the most out of AI and automation. We're saying that we want to generate a content strategy generator web page, clean modern landing page, your 30-day content strategy headline, subheadline, and we want the ability to capture some data in here. We've got other status in there. Looks like it's gone through and generated it really quickly for us. We're going to say yes, auto accept edits. We'll just let this run through and I'll show you the output. There we go. So I just had to go through and say, please start the local server, but it looks like it's ready to go. So if we just copy this link, come across to Chrome and open it up, we can see it in here nice and easy. Looks like we're able to click into all of the different ones. We've got 3 times a week. We got some of the different platforms. Okay, it looks like it's not enabling us to click on them, or it does after a while. It doesn't look like that's working correctly. So that's something we're going to need to change. But let's go through and give it a test. First things first, we need to make sure that we come through and activate and publish our scenario so that we're able to access it with our account. We're going to be able to unpin that data just to make sure that it's running in the background. If we come across to executions, we'll leave that running in the background for now to see if it executes. So there we go. We're going to add our email address in there, fitness coaching, and say generate our strategy. It looks like we got an issue, so we're just going to screenshot this. We'll copy the screenshot, come back across to Claude Code. We'll do Control and V to make sure that we paste it into the conversation. We're going to say there was an issue with the workflow. Please help me resolve it. So it's asking us for our webhook URL. So we'll come back into n8n, copy the production URL. If it's going to be running constantly in the background, we're going to say my URL is that, send it off, and hopefully goes through and updates everything. So it's going to be running constantly in the background. It's updated where we had that original placeholder webhook URL that we can see here. So let's see if we can refresh the page and see if it works. It looks like it's still got that issue for choosing the platforms. So we'll just come across again and say, I can't click on the platforms and have them become selected. Please update the code. So this is why we're constantly going back and forth with the code base, trying to get it exactly right for us to use. So there we go. It's all refreshed. We'll come back across, just refresh the page. It looks like that's all good to go now, which is great. That's exactly what we wanted. We'll just add all of our goals in there that we wanted to, exactly like before. We'll do generate my strategy. We'll check if it's running in the background. So auto refresh is turned on. It looks like it is running, which is great. That's exactly what we wanted to see. We're going to come back across when it says generated. So we should see some information in there and we should get an email. It looks like there was an email. So we'll just debug this. It looks like it's going to be, because it is now back to being that body, which is great. That's exactly what we wanted. So we'll do the email in there. We'll update this. So again, that niche goes back to being the body as well. So we'll just update all of this. We'll get rid of in here. This is back to being body, and then niche. We'll get rid of the goals as well. We'll update that. We'll also just come through and update all of these as well. So that to email address we just had in here, we're going to add into the email that we had in here. So we can see it's all item.json.bodies. So we'll just add that all in there. Nice and easy for it to be used in the future. I would just double check this last one as well, see if there's anything yet. So we'll just update this. So now it's all back and working. We'll come through, we'll just unpin this data here, make sure everything's published and running in the background. We'll come back across, we'll say try again, exactly the same data, generate my strategy. We'll come back across into here. We should see a new execution going through in the background, which is great. That's exactly what we wanted to see. Looks like it succeeded in 9 seconds. So if we come back across, it looks like it's all gone through and it's told us which email it sent it to. Let's come across and check our email address. Yep, we've got that brand new one ready to go. It looks like it has missed some of the formatting and points in here. So what we'll do is just come back. I have a feeling in here, it's going to be what looks like the content is now not into that specific format that we had earlier on. So this is where you're just going to need to go through, fine tune it, update it, and constantly improve to get the outputs. But as we can see here, in the matter of minutes, we've been able to go through, generate a workflow with Claude and get a front end nice and easily. But there are some really important things that you need to know. Claude is really good at generating some short ones, but it's definitely not optimized if there's lots of steps in the process. It's still better for you to go through, really understand how that process works, so that you can make the changes as you need, especially when it comes to this vibe coding, so that you understand where there may be errors, the data going through, where you need to secure it, and much, much more. What you also find is Claude doesn't always find the optimal route, and if you have a good knowledge about n8n, you often find smarter and quicker ways than Claude, but this is just the start. And some other really important things to keep in mind if you're going to be vibe coding, when you go through, you need to have different elements in place, especially when you're operating it globally. Things like having a privacy policy, data processing agreements, a lawful reason for connecting all the data, a cookie policy, user rights, and many, many different things need to be included, especially in case there's a breach, because you will become responsible for all of that client data. And there's been instances in the past where, of course, people have generated vibe coding tools and they have been hacked and people have lost data, and you will be responsible for that, especially if you're operating it globally. Now, Claude does include elements, and I cover this in the how-to video, like security, review, so that it will go through and analyze it, but still keep these things in mind because it's what many people don't show you about trying to vibe code some of these different apps into existence. If you want to get access to all of the resources I show in this video, make sure to come across to our community, comment down below anything you would love us to build with anti-gravity, Google Code, n8n, and anything else. Stay tuned for more around AI, automation, and have a great day.